Welcome back, guys, to Hilltop in the Valley. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my apple pie filling and can it so that I can save it for especially Thanksgiving, for the holidays, and for any time that we want to make a pie or use some apple pie style filling. Last year, you might remember that I made a gluten-free apple crisp recipe. You can go back and see that. We have a video of that here as well. But we did that recipe last year. I also made this pie filling last year and it was amazing. And we went ahead and used it for the holidays. This year I wanted to show you how I do that and how you can put this away for later use because it is so convenient to have apple pie filling on hand. And I just love to have apple pie filling that I have made from either my own apples or apples that we've picked locally here in the Northwest. These are some apples off of our tree. We have about 4 or 5 apple trees. They don't always give great apples. One of the trees was extremely worming this year, but this tree actually gave some good apples. And so I'm gonna go ahead and use these. I am not sure of the particular type of these apples, but I will go through some of the great types of apples that you can use for apple pie filling, because not all of them are created equal when it comes to making apple pie filling. But we'll go over a few of some good ideas for what to use. I am going to go ahead and get the kids' lunch ready. It is almost noon here and I've cleaned up the kitchen, so I am ready to go on this project, but the kids have not been fed. And so what I've done is I'm just going to do some simple lunches today. We're going to use paper plates, so it'll be easy cleanup. And then I have the kitchen pretty clean still, and it'll be all ready to bring out the apple core and we'll start processing the apples. If you have not subscribed to this channel, would you please do so? Just hit that subscribe button. What it does is it will help when I make a new video for the videos to pop up for you on your home screen, as well as it helps this channel too to be able to grow so that YouTube decides, okay, well, people are subscribing, so we'll show this to more people. And then other people are able to find this channel too who are interested in the same types of things as shown on this video. Thank you so much if you have subscribed. And if you are a new subscriber, welcome. I'm Krista and I am from the blog and YouTube channel, Hilltop in the Valley. We have a lot of nurturing and nourishing the home meals and activities. And I just like to show you guys ways that might inspire you to be able to nurture and nourish your own home. So I will be back in just a few minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and get the lunch started and then we'll get going on this apple pie filling project. So I'm just going to make some quick quesadillas today for lunch. I went all out on tortillas from Azure Standard this month because they've been making such simple meals for us, and we've tried a few different types. I must say I love the spelt from Rudy's, that brand. That is the one that we have enjoyed the most, I would say. But yeah, they make great quick meals. So after eating, cleaning up, and then putting one down for a nap, I'm back to get these apples started. I'm filling up a bowl with water and then adding lemon juice to prevent browning of the apples. Honestly, I still feel like they brown even with all the lemon juice I put in there. So I don't know if it's worth it or not, but hey, maybe it does help some browning. I like to use my apple corer and peeler. The goal for apple pie is to use a crisp apple. Don't use your apples if they're already soft, because then if it goes through the canning process, it will just turn to mush. You want to have one that is very fresh and crisp and picked when it is, perfectly ripe. Gravensteins are great, Granny Smith. Just don't use Red Delicious. That one will definitely turn to mush. You can also look at, I believe it's on my apple crisp recipe from last year. I have a video up for that, and there's also a recipe that goes with that. It's a gluten-free apple crisp recipe, and I had put on that post so many different apples that are great for using for apple crisp. And apple pie is the same. You want kind of a tart apple that has sweetness as well, but a lot of it is about how the apple will hold up in the process. You really do not want one that is going to turn mushy. I like to use the apple core and peeler, but others do not. Some people like to just individually cut their apples so that they are extra thick pieces. I personally like the thinner, very soft apples in the pie. Not that they're mushy, but I do like them extremely soft in the pie so that you're not crunching through apple slices. So it's your choice. Do what you want to do. If you like those thick chunks, then just cut them up yourself. I will admit it's helpful to have two people with an apple peeler. I have a helper here, one to turn the handle and one to guide the back. I'm not sure if everyone's peelers are this touchy, but mine tends to need guidance for the blade. After a while I got it down, but it's definitely nice to have a little helper here. The towel below the peeler and core helps soak up juice from the apples, so I will say that was very helpful as well. Boil the apples for 1 minute in 6-cup groupings, and then keep track of your cups to make sure that the amounts are correct. I usually wait for a few extra seconds just to make sure that the bubbles have started back up to boiling after putting the apples in. Like today, I had to refrigerate the cut apples for a while before getting back to them in the evening, and so they were very cold coming out of the refrigerator. And of course, putting them in the water, it takes a little bit for that water to get back up to boiling. So now I take a large pot and mix the apples in with water, lemon juice, sugar, salt, and the spices. The other nice thing about not including the clear gel is that I am not adding another heat time to these apples. So if you're using clear gel, you have to also mix these in with it so that it kind of all mixes together under heat. And the more heat, the more they break down. We want them soft, but not like applesauce, right? And so it's nice having these thinly sliced apples that I'm not adding that extra heat time. Also, bear in mind that different apples have different amounts of pectin inside, resulting in different texture when you cook your pie. And so it just really depends on the apple exactly how it turns out. It's all going to be unique. I'm going to call it a night and wait until the morning to can these beauties. So I'm just covering them and then putting them into the fridge. And then, oh man, they smell marvelous. And I will wait until morning and get back to this. It's morning and I'm going to warm the apples, so you want to put these into the jars warm, and we'll wash and keep the warm jars just in the oven to keep them warm with some water in the oven. You don't want them very hot, just warm, so you're not having a big temperature difference putting them into the pot. At the same time, we'll warm the canning pot, and I'm going to wash the lids. So I like to use 2 towels to work on and use a rag to clean off the jars after they're filled. And then I fill them, trying to make sure that each liquid and apples together are a similar amount. We don't want to have one jar that has way more liquid in it than the others, right? So you want a 1-inch headspace on these, which means you'll have about 1 inch at the top where the apple pie filling stops, and you just have plain air. And then I will put my little knife down in to make sure and get any bubbles out. Remember, though you see a lot of liquid, some will naturally come out during the heating process, so it's not going to look quite the same when we're all done. These will boil now for 25 minutes. That is for quart-sized jars, and I am making the quart-sized jars. If you are at a higher elevation, you will actually have to change the canning time, so look at the post for a little bit more information for that. If you are at a higher elevation, check out the post to see the difference in pressure that you will need for your canner. And I completely forgot that this time, but when you turn off the burner after the canning session is done, you do want to let the jars sit for about 5 minutes before removing them. And I just went ahead and brought them out. Thankfully, it did not cause a lot of siphoning in them, so I'm happy for that. Okay, so I waited 12 hours after taking this out of the pot, and so at that point I can go ahead and unscrew that, and then I want to check and make sure that it is held tight. And so you'll put your hands around the rim of the lid to make sure that you have a good seal. Now, if it doesn't seal, you can go ahead and just eat that one. But if you find later on that your jar is not sealed while you are storing it, toss it. Don't take the chance. Don't take the risk. Just toss it out. But right now, mine all sealed well. And so we're going to put these away, and then I'm going to mix together some pie dough from whole wheat einkorn flour. I have a pie dough recipe using the all-purpose flour on my blog. You can look that up, and there's also a video for it. I will put it right here so you guys can follow that to see the video. But I'm going to try and attempt to do it with whole wheat flour because I do not have any more all-purpose at the moment. So I'm going to see how this turns out, and then I'm going to make some little pocket pies using our apple pie filling. So come along and you can see how that turns out. Now when you make the pie, remember that we did not can this pie filling with any clear gel. Because of that, we need to add a starch to bind and thicken the filling when you make the pie. On my hand pies, I'll just sprinkle some arrowroot powder over the filling. If you were making a normal size pie, I would sprinkle the starch first on the bottom of the pie, and then add the apple pie filling, about half of it, and then add the rest of the starch. I believe it's about 1/3 cup, but check out, I have more information on that on my blueberry pie filling video and post. And you can use cornstarch, you could use flour for this. The big thing is having a starch. You want it to be a very starchy flour to thicken it up. To make the pie dough with the whole wheat einkorn flour, I cut the butter to about 8 ounces, which is 1 stick of butter. The other pie dough recipe that I've used, and I have up, I also have a video on that one, it uses, I think it's more like 12 ounces. So we've cut the butter back quite a bit. And then I believe I used a bit more water. So I don't have the exact recipe. Perhaps someday I'll get it out to you. But if you are experimenting with this, just know that you're going to want less of the butter. You're going to want probably a little bit more water since you're using the whole grain. And these ones actually turned out great. I did fold the dough quite a bit. And remember, that's folding the dough is a huge secret to having a flaky crust. If you're trying to get your crust to be more flaky, I don't feel like this one got that flaky, but it did turn out really well. You can see a little bit more about how folding the dough can help with the flakiness, either by watching the einkorn sourdough croissant recipe that was put up just recently, or also it's talked about quite a bit in the einkorn biscuit recipe. So both of those will kind of guide you through folding and how that will help your pastry dough. These hand pies turned out great, and I even got one child who refuses to eat most fruit to enjoy one. I hope you're able to make this apple pie filling and use it at a special occasion, whether Thanksgiving or maybe just a midwinter dessert. But thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.